last session of the day. This is going to be jam-packed with a lot of practical tips, so buckle up. Let's get started. Okay, so show of hands, who have negotiated your offers before? Oh, wow. Who have wanted to negotiate but don't know how? Who feel disgusted by the idea of negotiating because money is sensitive? Right, okay, great. Cool, this is going to be really helpful for you, hopefully. So what we'll cover today, first, why you should always negotiate, and then the 3 stages of negotiation, and I'll give you some really practical tips and examples of how you can set your negotiation up for success. So first of all, who am I? I was a lead data scientist, and I now am a solopreneur, which is the fancy term for a one-person business who does business online. And I used to work at Meta, Nextdoor, and Ernst & Young. So now I help people land jobs and negotiate their salaries and build a brand. So far I've helped 24 people land jobs and boost their salaries by 10 to 20% through negotiation. The offers that they have received are from Meta, Microsoft, Slack, and Trainline, for example. Cool, so who is this session for? You might think that you're very far from negotiation, but this is actually for everybody. If you've landed an offer, great. If you are in the process of looking for a job, great. If you're not actually looking for a job, great, because this will help you with your communication. And I've used the same technique to negotiate my rent. I negotiate my rent down by 25%, using the exact same technique. And I've helped my boyfriend negotiate his contract by $6,000. So the technique you can use in everyday life. Great, so first we need to understand what does it mean to get a job. So I think a lot of us, like myself included, think that, oh, a company wants to give me a job, like how lucky, right? Like, so happy to receive an offer, accept it right away. But actually, in order to understand why we need to negotiate, we need to understand that getting a job is just offering your labor in exchange for compensation. And you are entering an equal contract, an equal conversation. It's just unfortunate because get a job implies that the job is the scarce resource, but actually you are the scarce resource. And then companies are bidding for your value. They're bidding for something you can offer. So this is a super important mentality because knowing that you will enter the conversation, knowing that you are the asset, and you need to be compensated for the value that you can provide. So rule number 1, employment is just striking a mutual deal in the labor market. It's nothing different from, say, selling watermelons in the market. You want to sell your watermelon at the highest price, and then the companies want to buy the biggest watermelon at the cheapest price. It's just simple as that. All right, so why should we negotiate? So this is a breakdown of, this is from data from Quora a few years ago of hiring a software engineer in Silicon Valley. The price is probably a lot higher now, and then the time probably takes way longer. So I won't go through the details, but as you can see, in total, it takes 45 days, and it takes $24K USD to hire a software engineer on average in Silicon Valley. It probably takes way longer now because interviews are getting more complex, as you know. So all this is to say that companies spend so much time and money to hire somebody, it would be a fool for them to let you go just because you ask a few K more. Like, they're begging for you to take the offer because they went through so much, they put their best employees away from their job, right, to interview you. When you get an offer, like, they're praying that you take it, or they're praying that they can make you happy so you can take it. So, and this is also to let you know that, just like we covered in the previous sessions, like interviews, everyone is on your side because the recruiters want to close you. They want to move on to the next candidate. They want to close the job opening. The interviewers want to hire you because they spend so much time evaluating you. They want somebody on their team. So everybody is on your side. There's no like adversarial. There's no like you win, they lose. Everybody's equal. Everybody wants you to take the offer. Cool. So now that we have understood why it is important to negotiate and why you should always negotiate, now I want you to know that this doesn't just apply in the last stage of the interview. This negotiation starts the first time you come into contact with a human being, and I'll show you why. So first, you will have a recruiter call at some point, and here's 3 phases to the salary expectation dance, because you're usually always asked that question, and that's how your negotiation starts already. So first phase, what is your salary expectation? You get asked that. Rule number 1, information is power, protect it. And what I mean by this is that companies don't give you insights on how much they pay their previous candidates, right? They don't tell you, oh, we have 10 candidates and you're one of the 3 at the top. They don't give you that information. So we shouldn't expect to, give everything that they ask us. It's basically a silent auction, and whoever has the most information to themselves has the upper hand. In many situations, it's the only reason that companies you have the negotiation power is because companies don't have all the information about you. It's kind of like, okay, we're not sure what this person wants, but we're gonna put our best foot forward to win them over. That's why information is power, you should protect it. And how do we do that? So first, you can defer. When they ask you what your salary expectation is, you can say, hey, I don't have a particular number. I want to focus more on the role, the company, and the culture, and when it's appropriate time, we can have that discussion. We say that because it's true, because we mean it, right? Because money is not the only thing we care about. It's also about culture, it's about people, and if you have that conversation too early, it might draw some limiting boundaries. For example, I have a friend, Becca, she, broke up with her boyfriend out of a 10-year relationship, and she was thinking okay, I'm not ready for a relationship, so I'm just, meeting new people. But actually 2 months later, she met an awesome guy, and then they're now in a relationship. But had she told the guy up front that I'm not looking for a relationship, it probably won't happen. It's because when we actually meet the person, there's more to it, right? There's more. When you meet somebody, you become more flexible because there's so many more dimensions to somebody. So that's the same principle we're applying here. We're not giving out all the cards. We're leaving the door open. Right, okay, so sometimes, most of the time, the conversation will move forward, but sometimes you might get somebody who's maybe more insistent that you give them a number, and these are some of the things you can say. So first, you can redirect. You can ask them what they're offering, because if they're asking you a number, it's only fair that they give their number as well. You can also reassure them that you're confident that you can find something that works for both of you. This is wait, hold on. So redirect and reassure is what I recommend instead of giving a number straight. So most of the time, the conversation will move forward. However, if they insist that you do give a number, then you can give a range that is broad, that shows that you have done the research. You can say, okay, so I know that for X role, X location, this is the range. And you're going to end up by saying, I'm sure, I think it's a good place to start, or I'm sure we can find something that works for both of us. And this rule is that always leave the door open. So instead of saying, this is my range, you always say, this is a good place to start, or I'm sure we can find something that works. So when it comes to the actual negotiation, it won't come back to you and say, oh, but you said this is your number, why you're changing now? So we're doing it so that you never get pinned down on a number. Does that make sense? All right, cool. Great, so now, stage 2. We did the dance, and now we're invited to interviews. This is a crucial time for you to gather information so you can use in your negotiation. So we have conversations with different people, that recruiters, the peers, hiring managers, leadership. You can ask them different types of questions, not just to make you look like you've prepared. Actually, those questions would help you gather information that you can use to then up your offer. So here are some of the questions that you can ask. what made you interested in speaking to me today? This is something that only confident people ask. So when you ask it, they'll be really impressed. And wait for them to tell you why you're awesome. And use that as your leverage in your negotiation. Similarly, top 3 qualities. Let me give you another example. Say, what's the biggest challenge you and your team is facing, right? They might tell you, oh, we're facing X, Y, Z. And when you come to the negotiation stage, you can replay that. You say, like you said, your team is facing X, Y, Z challenge, and I have the exact expertise to solve that, and I can hit the ground running on day 1. That's why my value is at this number. So asking questions is super, super important. All right. So this is the opposite of the last rule. Information is power. Extract as much as possible. You want to protect your information, but you want to get as much information out from the other party as possible. All right, so the last stage is seal the deal when the actual offer drops and when the negotiation comes. So 3 steps: offer call, your consideration, and the actual negotiation. So first, on the offer call, do not accept the offer right away. So on the call, they tell you, congratulations, here's your offer. Do not say, yes, that's great, when do I start? Do not start negotiation right away. This is a little less than I expected, can you do this number? What we do is we defer the conversation again. We express excitement, thank them for their effort, and say that, right now I'm, talking with a few other people, or if you're not, that's fine too. Just say that you need some time to think through the details, and end with positivity and confirmation. Say, I'm sure we'll be able to find something that would work for both of us. I'm really excited, look forward to be part of the team. And thank them on the call, and take some time for yourself to think. So yeah. So the rule here, always be so delightful and positive, even though, let's say they drop you an offer and you're not super happy right away about the number, still express your gratitude and excitement, because a company takes a lot to extend an offer. They've put so many people interview you, and they want to know that you're excited. And if you're excited and if you reaffirm your value, there's usually always room for negotiation. But if you sound disappointed, if you don't sound that excited, they might, it doesn't make them excited to work with you to find the best package moving forward. Okay, so now you got the offer. You're in the consideration stage. Be proactive if there's any motion in your consideration, right? Like the best situation would be getting another offer or moving along into a further stage with a different company. So be proactive and reach out and say, hey, just to let you know that I've received another offer. So this just like upped your value. This shows that you're super desirable, and it upped the urgency for the company to like really want to hire you and keep you. At the same time, but reassure the company that like, I've got other options, but like, hey, you're still my favorite. Tell them that you're still excited about the role. Like, let them think that they can almost have you, but like they need to try harder. So that's the vibe we're going for. And then the next thing is that you should know that you always have alternatives. You have interviews at other companies. You can go to grad school. You can stay at your current job. You can go to sabbatical in Thailand. Or you can just protect your own energy and peace by doing whatever you're doing right now than to go to that company, right? It doesn't mean just because you don't have another offer doesn't mean that you don't have other opportunities, because there's always an opportunity cost by saying yes to something. Oh, so know that you always have an alternative no matter what. So this is our other rule. You don't need to have another offer to have alternatives. Okay, so this is an example of your other alternative instead of saying you have an offer. Considering going back to grad school, yada, 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 as an example. Okay, so what can you negotiate? So the main components are your total package, base, and stock if it's a public company, or options. And some of the secondary components: sign-on bonus, yearly bonus, equity, start date, promotion, flexibility. So we're primarily talking about the primary components here. Okay, so before you negotiate, you should only negotiate if you actually want to join the company. So don't negotiate and then they give you the number and then you don't go, because that's not professional. So remember that. Okay, so during the actual negotiation stage, this is how you can open your conversation. Again, start with positivity and gratitude. I'm really excited. Thank you so much for offering the opportunity. Looking forward to joining the team, but here are a few factors I want us to discuss. If the offer can be improved, then it will be more compelling. So, and now, because you are the one who initiated the negotiation, now it's the time to put all your cards on the table. Now you should say, okay, I'm looking for XYZ. And this will make you look really confident, and because you are demanding this conversation. So be specific. I'm looking for this number in base, this number in stock, and which makes the total compensation this number. So always have a reason as well. There's a study done that the person wants to get in the queue of using the Xerox machine at a university. So one experiment is that the person just gets in and say like, hey, sorry, can I use a Xerox machine? And in another variant, the person says, hey, I'm really sorry, can I use a Xerox machine because I'm running late for my class? And in the first example, the compliance rate is 60%. In the second example, the compliance rate is 94%. Because this is human nature, that if you give a reason, people are more likely to agree with you, even though the reason could be like really small. So always have a reason on why you're asking this number. So here are some good reasons that you can use. Fair number that I believe reflect my value to the team in XYZ areas. This is the time that you use the information you gathered in your interview to play it back. This matches the competing offer. I mean, this is the best situation you can be. And then the third example, this is matches that what I get should I stay at my current company for another year. This is what I used in one of my negotiations. Cool, so let's say you don't have those reasons. You can use alternative reasons too. Those are less good because when you want to accept an offer, it should always be your value. It should always be how you contribute to the company. However, we're dealing with human beings here, so we can actually appeal to human needs and emotions. For example, I want to buy a house this year, so salary is important for me. I want to pay my student loans. I want to move to a place that's closer to the office. I also used one of those in one of my negotiations, and I could tell the person's tone immediately softened because that reminds them that I am a human being. So those are the reasons you can use too. Right, so wrapping up the negotiation, you can reaffirm your value, say, summarize everything, right? So I'm looking for this number, that number. I know that you're looking for someone who can do X, Y, Z. And I believe I am the best person to provide that value for you. Again, this is the time to summarize all the information that you have gathered in the interview. Now, close the deal. So this is what you say to close the deal and get them to send you an offer and sign. Reiterate your value again. Express your excitement again for the opportunity and say, if you can improve the salary by X amount, I will be ready to sign. So this is your kill shot. Like if you're serious and if you're happy, just say, if you can get me this number, I will sign. And actually do sign after they get you that number. Because this is really attractive because the recruiters really want to close the deal and move on. Right, okay, to summarize, here are the 8 rules of negotiation. Just to emphasize some of the important stuff, like really know that you're an equal party to the company and the person you're dealing with. Information is power protected. Extract it as much as possible from the other party. Always leave the door open. Always stay positive. And you always have alternatives. You don't need another offer. Okay, great. Thank you. So this is actually an hour-long workshop that I did, but I had to compress it into 20 minutes. So there's actually a lot more information on negotiation. Things like how much you should ask, like what's a good time frame, and some of the magic phrases that you can use that I use to negotiate my rent. And some targeted questions that you can ask different people to extract as much information as you can to help your negotiation. I can't cover everything, but feel free to scan the QR code on the left to get more information, or connect with me on LinkedIn on the right. Thank you, everyone.